Hello everyone, this is part 63 of What If Naruto Meets the Nine Tails Early, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Whoa! Gasped Naruto as he and Jiraiya emerged from the surrounding forests. As it stood, Naruto and Jiraiya were now looking across a marvelous, arched, wooden bridge spanning across a large, calm, and blue pond. The bridge led to a staircase climbing up towards a traditional style building that looked as if it were built into the mountains. Throughout the cliff face, numerous other buildings emerged from the stone and various other bridges and walkways connected them. Yeah, I know. I said the same thing when your dad first brought me here, said Jiraiya. What is this place? Asked Naruto. It's an ancient shinobi fortress, from before the founding of the hidden villages, explained Jiraiya. Who it belonged to, I'm not sure, but your dad found it and made it his. Jiraiya stepped forth towards the bridge, however his advance was met by an invisible barrier. He littered this place with seals, making sure no one would interrupt his training. This is where your father worked on some of the more dangerous jutsus he knew, ones that aren't appropriate for practicing within Konoha or ones he didn't want anyone seeing. Kind of like what you're looking to do. This barrier can only be unlocked by B. I believe the seal is over here. Jiraiya led Naruto to a pillar where Naruto made a quick S across his hand to spill some B onto the seal. The seal momentarily flashed before a hole in the barrier appeared for Naruto and Jiraiya to enter. As they entered the barrier, it closed behind them, sealing the training grounds. Who else can get in here? Asked Naruto. Minato tuned the B seals to accept him or his descendants, myself, Sensei, and Kushina. That's it, said Jiraiya. Also, he would normally use the Hiraishin to teleport in here. Hey Ero Sennin, do you think you could teach me that jutsu? My dad's Hiraishin. Asked Naruto. I'm sorry, but your dad was the only one who knew how it worked. He was very protective of it as well. I can't teach it to you because I don't know where he put any notes or instructions on the jutsu, said Jiraiya. Do you think he could have hid it in here? Asked Naruto. No, he was too protective of that jutsu. This place might have been secure, but it wasn't secure enough for him, said Jiraiya. The only place Minato trusted enough to stash that jutsu was on himself. He did teach 3 others to use the jutsu, his personal guard, but they only understand it enough to the point where they can use it only in conjunction with each other. He only taught them the essentials of the jutsu, nowhere near enough to teach someone. I see, said a depressed Naruto. If there was any jutsu Naruto was looking forward to, it was that one, the one that his dad was known for. However, with his dad being the only one who knew where that jutsu was, and the Yondaime Hokage having passed away years ago, the jutsu could very well be lost to time. Don't worry about it, Naruto, said Jiraiya, placing a hand on his Gosun's shoulder. I've got a feeling Minato wouldn't have let it just vanish. I know he did something with it and I know he intended for you to find it. I can't think of anyone else besides you who he'd want to pass on that jutsu to. That served the purpose of cheering Naruto up. Right, so where am I supposed to train? Asked Naruto. Within the mountain, there are numerous caverns that he used. Those caverns are all reinforced with seals your father installed when he first began training here. They're meant to prevent damage to the wall. Even I tested them out against my senjutsu and I didn't make a dent, said Jiraiya. Entering the first building, the Toad Sage and his apprentice entered what appeared to be a typical, if not a little bare, and large foyer that led into a large chamber. To the sides of the chamber, Naruto could see a few separate rooms, most likely used for some sort of living quarters. Jiraiya placed his hand against a seal on the wall and a matrix illuminated on the ceiling to provide light to the structure. This is really just a place to live and sleep. The training chambers are this way, said Jiraiya as he led Naruto into a hall opposite the entrance and one that seemed to venture into the mountain. Stepping into the first room, Jiraiya touched his hand against the wall and activated one of the seals against the wall, lighting the area with chakra-powered fluorescent seals. As Naruto looked through the chamber, it was a large open room with a wooden floor and numerous giant gears lining the wall. This I believe is where he did most of his close combat training, said Jiraiya. How? There's nothing in this room, said Naruto. Here, said Jiraiya, pointing to another seal matrix along the side of the wall. As he channeled chakra into one of the seals, a number of what appeared to be wooden training dummies appeared throughout the room. So he practiced against a bunch of stationary dummies. That doesn't sound too hard, said Naruto. Jiraiya of course laughed before channeling chakra into another seal. All of the sudden, the dummies rushed Naruto and struck at him with numerous hidden limbs. Acting quickly, Naruto unsheathed his sword and began hacking away at the dummies before Jiraiya decided to deactivate them. Your father spent a lot of time getting these puppet seals right. The seal matrix that controls them is over on this wall. You can summon roughly 1,000 of these things at once and try to fight them all off, said Jiraiya. Wow, really? How many was my dad able to beat? Asked Naruto. Hey, he was able to reach 1,000. He had thought about increasing the size of the summoning seals, but never got around to it, said Jiraiya. Come on, the next room is this way. Jiraiya led Naruto to a hole in the gears and they once again stepped into another dark cavern. However, the sound of rushing water could tell Naruto that there was a subterranean river flowing nearby. Jiraiya activated another illumination seal and Naruto saw the source of the noise. They were now standing in a massive open cavern with a stream that split the first third and last 2/3 of the cavern. The river entered the cavern from a small waterfall pouring into the river on the right and flowed across the cavern where it disappeared into a tunnel on the left. Next to the tunnel where the river disappeared, was what appeared to be another passageway. This is where your father did a lot of his jutsu development. Really, it's just a large open space that gave him plenty of room to work with, said Jiraiya. However, I don't think this room will hold up to the prospect of you doing target practice with Bijudama. I do think the next one will though. Jiraiya led Naruto into the next room, through that one that was near the exit of the river. After descending through a tunnel for a little, Naruto's eyes widened as he gazed out upon a vast subterranean lake. Jiraiya activated the illumination seals, but instead of being placed on the ceiling and walls, they had been placed at the bottom of the lake, lighting the water up in a vibrant glow. The water was crystal clear and Naruto could actually make out the seals beneath the surface of the water. Coincidentally, the seals were arranged in the symbol of Konoha, allowing the leaf to shine up from the bottom of the lake. Whoa, gasped Naruto. I know, pretty impressive, isn't it? Smiled Jiraiya. This room would work better for your more destructive jutsus. Just fire them into the lake and the water will dissipate the energy, said Jiraiya. Honestly, that's about it for in here. There is a passageway back near the entrance that leads to the top of the mountain, which is actually relatively flat and forested. Minato would also train up there quite a bit. I don't know how he found this place, but it should suit your needs perfectly. Consider it the first part of your inheritance. Now, what's this about completing the Rasengan? I thought you already did that. Asked Jiraiya. Yeah, I thought so too, until I tried to use my futon, Rasengan in Sage mode, said Naruto. Show me, asked Jiraiya. Nodding, Naruto sat down and began collecting natural energy. By this point in time, Naruto had been practicing on entering Sage mode quicker and while it still took 30 seconds to gather enough energy, it was a definite improvement from before. Naruto formed the Rasen Shuriken in his hands and Jiraiya's jaw practically hit the floor at his apprentice's development. Naruto threw the Rasen Shuriken towards the middle of the lake, the giant wind shuriken exploding in the middle of the lake. Said the speechless Toad Sage. Now you see, Ero Sennin, it's not complete, said Naruto. In fact, it's nowhere near complete. What do you mean? I'd say that's pretty complete to me, said Jiraiya. Naruto just shook his head. I don't know. Maybe that's as far as I can go with it, maybe not. I thought the futon, Rasengan was the furthest I could take it, but after seeing what it did in Sage mode, I won't be surprised if the Rasengan can be taken even further than that, said Naruto. And besides, that's only with wind. What about the other elements? Jiraiya sighed. I know what you're thinking. Minato and myself were even thinking the same thing. Hell, Kakashi knows the Rasengan and has tried to add the lightning element to it. Where do you think he got his Chidori from? What? Kakashi-sensei got Chidori from the Rasengan? Asked Naruto. A failed attempt at adding lightning chakra to it at least, said Jiraiya. I'll say this and I've said it before. I couldn't believe how proud of you I was when you made the futon, Rasengan. Anyways, I'll say this. No one person is going to be able to fully complete the Rasengan. What do you mean? Asked Naruto. Think about it, said Jiraiya. An elemental Rasengan requires full mastery of an element to even have a chance at developing it. And based on your development of the wind element Rasengan, there is also a little trick to getting it to work. No ninja has ever mastered all 5 elements, with the exception of the Rikudo Sennin himself, and I doubt any ninja ever will. Even training with shadow clones, you'll never master more than 2, maybe 3 if you really push yourself. Well, I've got wind mastered, so that's 1 element, said Naruto. Jiraiya simply shook his head. Your skill with the wind element is probably the most advanced I've seen since your dad, but it's nowhere near true mastery. You said, you can't use the Rasen Shuriken without Sage Mode. Well, that's why. Your skill at wind manipulation may have been sufficient to make the futon, Rasengan, but it's nowhere near enough for something like that without the aid of natural energy. So what do I need to do then? Asked Naruto. Do you know of anyone who has ever truly mastered an element? I know of a few, but the one that comes to mind is the Nadaime Hokage and his mastery over the water element, said Jiraiya. Now that I think of it, I know what you can do that I think would make it so you had mastery over your wind element. Really? Tell me, exclaimed Naruto. Well, one thing the Nadaime could do was performing water jutsus while only making a single hand seal, said Jiraiya. When you really think about it, that's all the hand seals are there for, is to aid in the molding of chakra. However, it is entirely possible to perform a jutsu with nothing more than a single hand seal. In fact, he could do some jutsus without any hand seals at all. Really? But I can already do a jutsu without seals, said Naruto. The Rasengan is inherently seal-less. Some jutsus just work like that, said Jiraiya. But if you want to truly master your wind element, I believe that's the direction to go. Can you use any jutsus without hand seals? Asked Naruto. Without seals? No. However, I can use my flame bullet with only 1 seal, said Jiraiya as he demonstrated the Kaiten flame bullet by only making half of a tiger seal. If you want to start working on this, I suggest starting with your simpler wind jutsus and practice with them while removing 1 hand seal at a time until you can use it while making only the last hand seal. Fiery determination took over Naruto's eyes as his task was now set in front of him. Unfortunately, he would not have time to train today as it was getting late, resulting in he and Jiraiya to return to the village. Back in Tsunade's office, Naruto and Jiraiya had finished discussing any training Naruto would be undergoing at his new training ground. While Tsunade didn't have a problem with Naruto leaving to train there, she did insist that Naruto not travel out of the village alone. At first Naruto protested, but after Tsunade expressed her concerns, especially with Akatsuki out there, he gave in to her terms that he take either Jiraiya, Kakashi-sensei, Yamato, Iruka, or another approved jonin. Now Naruto, I need to discuss something important with you, said Tsunade. It's regarding what will happen in a few months. You mean you're finally retiring? Gasped Naruto. I knew it was only a matter of time before you turned over your hat. Yes, I'm going to be Hokage. Tsunade and Jiraiya sweat dropped. No, I'm not retiring. Although it is tempting with this damned paperwork, Tsunade said while sending a death glare towards the stack of papers on her desk. In just about 4 months from now, you'll be turning 16. Which means your true heritage will be revealed to not only the village, but also the world, said Tsunade. 16 is also the age at which a clan head can assume the full responsibilities associated with being a clan head. Which means that in less than 4 short months, you will officially be recognized as the head of the Uzumaki clan. I know that when your heritage comes to light, you'll be given the opportunity to take on your father's name, but after seeing that you've managed to find family from the Uzumaki side of your family. I know. I'll be honest and say that I have given it some thought, said Naruto. Ero Sennin did talk to me about this during our time away. But when I really think about it, I don't know too much about where my father's family comes from. From what I managed to find out from either asking Ero Sennin, Kakashi-sensei, or from the village archives, I know the Namikaze family came to Konoha in the early days of the village and that they were a skilled shinobi family, but before that, I don't really know. Besides, I've been trained in the Uzumaki techniques for the past few years, I've been told numerous stories about my ancestors and the clan they come from, and I just feel like I have a closer connection to the Uzumaki name. I understand. I just wanted to make sure you're aware. I thought I would give you some time to think about it, said Tsunade. I'll tell you a bit more as the time for you to take up the role of the Uzumaki clan head draws closer, but that can wait. So have you thought about possibly invoking the Clan Restoration Act? Nudged Jiraiya, that faint perverted grin coming onto his face. Just you and all those lovely ladies. Shut it, you pervert, shouted Tsunade as she smacked Jiraiya upside the head. About that, I am legally bound to inform you of it, but it appears as if someone already told you about it, sighed Tsunade. First is that it is entirely optional. If you're the last surviving member of your clan, you may take more than one woman as your bride to help you in the restoration of your clan. I know all about the CRA, Barkin. Ero Sennin made sure of it, groaned Naruto. Jiraiya just let out a nervous grin. I can already say I don't plan on invoking it. Tsunade let out a sigh of relief. Oh, thank Kami. I was afraid you'd do something stupid. She then sent a glare to her teammate. What were you even thinking? Trying to convince Naruto to undertake that stupid excuse for opening a whorehouse. I didn't, sweated Jiraiya. Actually, Barkin, Ero Sennin told me not to do it. I could never ask Hinata-chan to do that. Besides, I'm not the last living member of my clan. There's Karen-nichan, Kariya Barkin, all the other Uzumakis in the Land of Iron, and I'm confident there are still a few more out there somewhere. My clan's just scattered, not extinct, said Naruto. Speaking of which, I was wondering if I could ask you a favor, Barkin. What did you do now, Gaki? Asked Tsunade, expecting the worst. Nothing, at least not yet. I wanted to ask if you could give me and my team more missions that involve bounties, said Naruto. Tsunade gave the blonde a confused look, wondering what he could need money for. I have quite a bit of money saved up, but it's not enough. If I want to rebuild the Uzumaki clan, then I'm going to need somewhere for us all to live. So you're looking to build a clan compound? Asked Tsunade. Naruto nodded. I suppose I could do that. You and your team still have a few days rest, but I'll see what I can do once you're eligible for a mission again. Thanks, Barkin, smiled Naruto before leaving Tsunade and Jiraiya. Told him not to take the CRA. Questioned a skeptical Tsunade. I honestly told him not to do it. He'd be happier having a family that loves him for who he is instead of a bunch of clingy women who want him just for his money, said Jiraiya. Even if I would give anything to have beautiful women throwing themselves at me every night. Sure. Naruto just let out a groan as he looked across the table he and his team were seated at. On his way out of the Hokage's tower, Naruto had bumped into his team, who had come looking for him for a team dinner. Of course, since Sai was now a part of their team, Sai was situated directly across from Naruto, giving the blonde his fake and slightly creepy silence. Sakura just sighed. She had hoped to clear some of the tension between Naruto and Sai with a nice and friendly dinner while acquainting Sai and Sasuke. Of course, things weren't going to go that easy. What did you just call me? Growled Sasuke as his eye twitched in an irritated manner. Is there something wrong? I just thought that giving someone a nickname would be the best way to reduce emotional barriers and hasten the development of understanding between yourself and others. At least, that's what I read in a book, duckbutt, smiled Sai. Calm down. I'm sure he didn't mean it, said Sakura, slowly realizing this was not turning out how she hoped it would be. I told you he's an A, said Naruto. HN, replied Sasuke. Will you two stop it? Said Sakura, trying to defuse the situation the best she could. Sai, if you really want to give someone a nickname, you can't be so blunt about it. Try giving them a nickname that actually complements them and their characteristics. Sai thought for a moment before smiling at Sakura. Thanks, I think I've got the hang of it, ugly. Naruto and Sasuke both cowered in fear as Sakura smiled sweetly at Sai, before. SHANAROO. All three male members of Team 7 rubbed the bumps on their heads. Naruto and Sasuke received theirs trying to restrain Sakura in order to prevent her from leveling the entire restaurant, and Sai received his for obvious reasons. Sakura took a big sip from a nearby sake bottle before setting it down in a stack of 4 other bottles. She had instantly gone for the alcohol the moment Sai decided to open his mouth, as Naruto and Sasuke could only help but stare as she handled the sake like a seasoned pro. Well, she is the apprentice of Tsunade, said Kurama. It shouldn't surprise you that she picked up one of her master's traits. After all, Sasuke reads Ika just like Kakashi and you're a pervert like Jiraiya. I'm not a pervert. Kurama just laughed as he flooded Naruto's mind full of various images of women and perverted thoughts as Naruto did his absolute best to keep his bee from either spilling out of his nose or pulling in a certain area of the male anatomy. Hinata-chan. Eep. Naruto had caught up with Hinata the following day, wrapping his arms around her waist from behind and pulling his girlfriend in close before giving her a few tingling K along the base of her N. Naruto-kun, what are you doing? Asked Hinata as she pulled away from Naruto slightly. What's the matter, Hina-chan? I've been in the desert for the past week and I was looking forward to spending some quality time with you. Besides, I just want to give you what's yours. Isn't that what you want? Whispered Naruto into Hinata's ear. Realizing that Naruto was referring to her little outburst a while back, Hinata instantly blushed. Well, can we go somewhere with a little more privacy? Giggled Hinata as the two bolted off towards their favorite spot to spend time together, the Hokage Monument. It didn't take long before the two were locked in a passionate make-out session. Hinata had already removed her jacket, revealing the dark purple t-shirt that she wore underneath, which just seemed to cling tightly to her curves, providing Naruto's eyes a good show before the lavender vixen laid herself on top of her blonde fox. Naruto wrapped his arms around her waist tightly as their lips began to play with one another. To Naruto's own surprise, Hinata was even teasing him a little bit as she would oftentimes rock her body up against Naruto's, giving the blonde just enough of a taste of what she had to offer to keep him asking for more. While he might have been surprised, he was beginning to notice this side of Hinata more and more ever since he returned, and there was no way he could deny that he enjoyed it. Inside Naruto's head, Kurama was observing the show. Oh, it's only a matter of time for those two. I've got a feeling it won't be too much longer before mating season comes around, thought Kurama to himself as he let out a slight perverted chuckle. As the sun began to set, the two finally decided that they should get on with their night. Figuring they had enough dessert, the couple of lovers returned to the village to find somewhere to eat. While walking through the village, they passed a rather large crowd, composed primarily of men, at the village's theater for the premiere showing of Jiraiya's Ika, the movie. Naruto was pretty sure he could pick out Kakashi-sensei in the crowd. Not many people have gravity-defying silver hair, though he couldn't quite figure out who the three other individuals were with him. Still, Naruto sent a questioning look towards the one who had a large afro, big glasses that were too dark to see through, and a nose that just screamed, "My plastic surgeon's a completer." Naruto had also sensed a familiar chakra coming from another one of them as he noticed that said person was obviously under a genjutsu. No, that can't be Sasuke, can it? Thought Naruto as he recognized the chakra signature of the genjutsu. If Sakura-chan knew he was here, a cold chill sent Naruto shuddering at that very thought. Naruto returned to his current quest, dinner with Hinata, when his stomach reminded him of its desire. Sadly, there was one last obstacle standing in the way of Naruto and his favorite dinner stop in all of Konoha, and that obstacle went by the name of Kurenai-sensei, who was out on the town with her fiancé. Naruto, I can see this is an inconvenient time for you, but I need to ask you something important, asked Kurenai. Is it about Anko's seal? Asked Naruto, already figuring out what Kurenai had wanted. It is. You said you would take a look at it when both of you were off missions, asked Kurenai. Before Naruto even had a chance to respond, Kurenai began pleading. Please. That thing has been driving her crazy ever since she got it. If there's a way to get rid of it, she may seem like some crazy psycho, and she may be, but to me she's like a sister and I don't want her to suffer any longer. Naruto smiled. Kurenai didn't need to resort to begging, as Naruto was already planning on helping her, but Kurenai expressing her feelings for Anko only served to make him more determined to get rid of that damned snake Hiki. Don't worry Kurenai-sensei, I'll get that seal of Anko, I promise, Tabayo. Declared Naruto. I'll ask Barkan for a place to do it tomorrow. Just see her. Really. Thank you, Naruto-kun, bowed Kurenai as a few joyful tears came to her eye. Enjoy your evening you too. By Kurenai-sensei, Hinata waved before being tugged by Naruto in the direction of Ramani Delight. The following day, Naruto was surprised at the number of people who simply came to observe him rid Anko of her curse mark. Around the outside of the secure room which Tsunade had provided, stood Jiraiya, Tsunade, Kurenai, Asuma, Kakashi, Sakura, Sasuke, Hinata, Hanabi, Neji, Hiashi, somewhat surprisingly Ino, although she is one of Anko's students, and even Zabuza and Haku. Naruto was honestly expecting only Tsunade, Jiraiya, Kurenai, and maybe Hinata, but it appeared as if everyone here wanted to see if the rumors about Naruto's sealing talents surpassing that of Jiraiya's were true. And what better way to test Naruto than to see if he could defeat one of the few seals not even Jiraiya could figure out, Orochimaru's curse mark. I still don't believe a Gaki like you can actually get rid of this bee, but if Kurenai says you can, I'll trust you this once, said Anko before laying face down on a mat in the middle of the room. So how are you going to do this, Naruto? Asked Jiraiya. I honestly think the regression seal's the best way to go. I'll be sure to make a copy of Anko's seal before doing it though so you and I can take a good look at it, said Naruto. Wait, how are you going to make a copy if the seal's already in place on Anko? Asked Jiraiya. Like this, said Naruto as he walked over to Anko and pulled down her shirt just enough to expose the curse mark of heaven at the base of Anko's N. Fuinjutsu, seal copying technique. Naruto placed his hand on top of Anko's mark. As he pulled his hand away, an exact replica of the curse mark rose up, suspended just beneath Naruto's open palm. However, it wasn't just the curse mark that appeared to rise up out of Anko's shoulder, a complex sealing matrix, the underlying workings of the curse mark, came with it. It's an Uzumaki clan technique where we can take a seal that has already been applied somewhere and copy it along with its formula to a scroll to study. Naruto placed his hand down on an open scroll and the sealing formula for the curse mark appeared. Jiraiya and Tsunade just stared at the scroll like they had just struck gold. Jiraiya immediately picked up the scroll and began examining it. So that's how that accursed thing works, gasped the Toad Sage. If Orochimaru developed something like this, there's only one way. He's discovered Raichi Cave. Tsunade's eyes widened at the mentioning of that place. I'm going to have to talk this over with Fukasaku-sama, said Jiraiya as he rolled up the scroll and tucked it away in his coat. Yeah, can we get to getting this thing off of me? Demanded Anko. Naruto nodded as Jiraiya stepped away and the blonde took the large scroll which he had brought with him off his back. Naruto unfurled the scroll to reveal its contents, the regression seal. So that's the seal Naruto used to remove Neji's seal, thought Hiashi. He had been hoping that Naruto would use this, wanting to see that seal in action after Naruto showed it to him during that one time. Naruto proceeded to connect the seal to Anko's curse mark before taking a step back and sitting down in a meditative position. This seal had been on Anko longer than Neji's and he would need all the chakra he could get. What's he? Kurenai was about to ask, but was set off by Jiraiya. Please don't disturb him from this point out, said Jiraiya. Right now, he's gathering all the chakra he can get. Believe it or not, that seal in particular requires an ungodly amount of chakra. Moments later, Naruto stood up, orange pigments outlining his eyes. Are you ready, Anko? This is going to hurt a bit, warned Naruto. PFT, please. I don't care what sort of pain I've got to go through if it means getting rid of this thing, said Anko. Naruto placed his hand over top of Anko's curse mark, but before he could even activate the seal, a shot of pain radiated through Anko's body as the mark somehow sensed that Anko was trying to get rid of it and began protesting. Get this thing off, screamed Anko as the mark tried to spread outward to take over Anko before Naruto could attempt to remove it. Secret Uzumaki Fuinjutsu, regression seal, said Naruto as he activated the seal while Anko was doing everything she could to resist the mark. As Jiraiya watched on, he noticed that Naruto had stopped moving completely and was now acting as a channel for chakra to power the seal, pulling natural energy to power it instead of his own. By the 3-year mark, Naruto was still holding his own, not having to rely on Kurama's chakra at all. If he can make it just a little longer on natural energy, then there's no doubt he'll be able to get it with Kurama's chakra finishing it off. The 5-year mark passed and Naruto had finally exhausted the natural energy in his system and took on the version 1 cloak. Considering Naruto could only reach year 1 before without Kurama's chakra, the addition of natural energy appeared to make a huge difference when using the regression seal. Anko let out another cry of pain as the process neared the end, the curse mark making one last attempt to save itself before it spun and disappeared completely from the base of Anko's N. As Naruto saw it disappear, he deactivated the version 1 cloak, which had managed to maintain all 9 tails this time around. It's gone, gasped Kurenai. A few other people, mainly those who were not familiar with the seal at all, just stared in surprise. That seal's something, isn't it? Jiraiya asked no one in particular. Kurenai was the first one at Anko's side as the Tokubutsu Jonin fought off the last bits of pain and opened her eyes. Anko immediately reached for the back of her instinctively. She was now in a state of disbelief. For the first time in 13 years, she couldn't feel that snake's dark chakra running through her system. Is it really? Gasped the purple-haired Kunoichi. Kurenai smiled before removing her forehead protector and using it as a mirror to show Anko a bare N. Naruto had braced himself for just about any reaction from the crazy snake Kunoichi, but what happened wasn't quite what he had expected at all. Anko immediately wrapped the blonde up in a frantic hug while repeatedly shouting, "Thank you," as if she were a little girl whose dad had just let her get a new puppy. That part really wasn't too bad, but Anko had sandwiched Naruto's head in her sizable cleavage, while her grip had prevented the blonde from coming up for air. A few people didn't know how to react and Jiraiya was quickly cursing his own luck while praising his apprentice at the same time. However, any thoughts going around the room were keyed by a massive spike of K intent, coming from none other than a certain Hyuga. A hug or a thank you, Hinata would understand completely, but once Anko started rubbing her bee in Naruto's face, Hinata couldn't help it. She practically stomped over to where Naruto was slowly having the life squeezed out of him and tore him from Anko's grasp. Naruto had only a moment to breathe before being smothered by yet another pair of bee, these belonging to Hinata. A wicked smirk appeared on Anko's face, the smirk that scared even Ibiki. I see how it is. The little princess wants the gaki all for herself. I understand completely, smiled Anko. Besides, I don't have time to take care of the gaki tonight. Anko strode over towards where Zabuza was. Nope, I'm going to busy breaking in my new toy, all night long. A night alone with Anko. Some people were praising Zabuza like some sort of man god, others were sending him silent prayers. Now if you'll excuse us, grinned Anko as she left the room with Zabuza. Oh, and try not to wear the gaki out too soon. As Anko finally left the room to go celebrate, Hinata finally realized what had just happened as she let out a small eep and jumped back, releasing the panting blonde from her grasp. It wasn't that she had just thrown herself at Naruto, partially giving in to her hormones, it was because there were other people present, including her own family, who had witnessed her little act that had caused her to go red from embarrassment. Hiashi sent Naruto a look and Naruto just responded with a big grin. After last night, he and Naruto had come to an understanding with one another and Hiashi was forced to concede to allowing Naruto and Hinata's love life play its natural course. It however was Hanabi who was the first one to speak. I see how it is Neeson. Don't worry. If you want, I can ensure you and Naruto have some privacy tonight, grinned Hanabi as she pointed to Hiashi. Hanabi. Squeaked Hinata. It's not, wait, That's not what I just saw, teased Hanabi. The entire room burst out in laughter. Jiraiya, Tsunade growled at her perverted teammate who had just recorded the entire event in his notebook. Jiraiya just sweated as he quickly put his notebook away. But it was already too late. Ideas for the next Ika book were already flowing through his perverted mind. Orochimaru's eyes widened in shock and surprise. Because the curse marks he gave contained a part of him, he could feel what was happening to every one of his victims that he gave the mark to. However, one or two curse marks fading every now and then really didn't surprise him that much, as it was expected that those who bore the mark would off for one reason or another. But the mark that he sensed disappear off his radar wasn't just any mark. It was Anko's mark. Orochimaru-sama, is everything okay? Asked a concerned Kabuto. Anko-chan's curse mark has vanished. I can no longer sense it, said Orochimaru. Pity. She must have finally said Kabuto. No, that's not it, hissed Orochimaru. I know Anko-chan. She wouldn't just like that. It's been removed. But sir, the only one who can remove it is you, gasped Kabuto. How is that possible? I don't know, Kabuto, said Orochimaru. And once the transfer is complete and I have my new body, I intend to find out. So you've decided then? Asked Kabuto. I have. Prepare Karatsu, said Orochimaru. I figured you would choose him, Orochimaru-sama, grinned Kabuto. The dark release Kekkei Genkai surely is something, isn't it? It is, but that's not the one that truly captured my interest, grinned Orochimaru. Walking through the village early one morning, Naruto let out a big yawn. What to do today? Kakashi-sensei, Sakura-chan, Sasuke, and Sai have all been given a mission without me, leaving me here alone. I guess I could go and see if Hinata-chan wants to do something, though she's probably busy training with Neji and Hiyashi-san in the morning, so I'll have to wait until after lunch. It really didn't come as a surprise that Naruto was sitting this mission out. Tsunade had granted Naruto his request in helping him towards obtaining a plot of land to help with the restoration of the Uzumaki clan, and for the past month, Naruto and his team had been given 5 missions, all resulting in rather sizable bounties. Combining those bounties along with the money he had saved up over the past few years, any money he managed to win off of Tsunade during their weekly poker nights, and of course the royalties he got from helping Jiraiya with the Ika books, it wouldn't be much longer before he would be able to start re-establishing his clan in Konoha. Oi! Naruto! Naruto turned around to see Kiba and Shino behind him, both wearing what appeared to be well-packed backpacks. Naruto's thoughts immediately jumped to one conclusion: a long time without Hinata-chan. Hey, what's up? Looks like you guys have a mission. Yeah, Hokage-sama assigned us to an extended border patrol around the northern border, groaned Kiba. 2 whole months at the outpost along the borders of Fire Country and Hot Water Country, yay. Naruto could already feel his spirits deflate. 2 months without Hinata. Yeah, Hinata's the lucky one. She's on standby so she doesn't have to sit in that outpost for the next 2 months, said Kiba. Wait, Hinata-chan's not going away. Yata! Exclaimed Naruto. Well, he seems excited, said Kiba as the excited blonde dashed down the street. Of course he is. I know he would not enjoy being separated from Hinata-san for that long, stated Shino. Why? Because he and Hinata enjoy each other's company, just as I enjoy Fu-san's company. Yeah, waved Kiba as he and Shino proceeded to the main gate to meet up with Yamato and Fu. Akamaru barked and Kiba sighed. Yeah, I know, boy. Just about everyone's got someone. Hell, even Shino's going out with someone. I mean, sure, I've been on plenty of dates with girls around the village, but that's all they've been. Tsunade's office. Tsunade-sama, an urgent request from the land of birds, said Shizune, presenting Tsunade with a mission request scroll. It's sad that the daimyo has passed away, as well as Lady Toki. I knew the daimyo personally and he was a good man, said Tsunade. So they are requesting a guard detail during the coronation of Lord Sagi. Shizune, who do we have on standby for a high C rank mission? Asked Tsunade. Shizune handed Tsunade a list. C ranks were reserved primarily for more experienced genin and newly minted chunin, although it was entirely possible for more experienced chunin or under-experienced genin to participate. As Tsunade looked down the list, most of the eligible candidates for this type of mission were either currently on a mission, listed as injured, or inactive for one reason or another. As she scanned the room, there were only a handful of shinobi to choose from, most of them being extremely underqualified genin. I suppose I could give some genin a chance who have worked hard and pair them with 2 chunin. Now let's see who that could be. Tsunade's list narrowed even further, and once she realized that there were only 4 names that stood out and her head fell against her desk as she let out a groan. Hiyashi's gonna K me, groaned Tsunade. Tsunade-sama? Questioned Shizune while Tonton hopped from Shizune's arms and onto Tsunade's desk to poke the troubled Hokage. Tsunade quickly scribbled down a few names onto a piece of paper and handed it to Shizune. Shizune, please summon these 4 for a mission briefing. As Naruto was running down an empty side alley, he suddenly stopped when he encountered an unexpected surprise. S-jutsu, Hinata version. Naruto immediately stopped S in his tracks as he gazed upon a beautiful and quiet Hinata standing in front of him. Hi. Naruto's words were caught in his own tea as his eyes took in the image of a completely Hinata standing in front of him. The luscious curves, busty B, and innocent yet S expression on her face all etched themselves into his memory. Damn. I tap that, whistled Kurama. Ha! I got you, Naruto Naichin! Exclaimed Konohamaru as he undid the transformation. Now you've got to show me a cool jutsu. Whack! Don't do that, you little brat! Shouted Naruto as he smacked Konohamaru upside the head. Hinata-chan's not like that. You can't just go around transforming into her like that in the middle of the village. What if someone saw you do that? Naruto shivered at the thought of someone like Hiyashi, or worse, Hinata, seeing that jutsu. But still, he couldn't help but agree with his inner pervert on two things. 1. Konohamaru's jutsu version was spot on, and 2. Hinata had an incredibly hot body. Konohamaru sighed. I know, boss, but it was the only thing I could think that would work on you. Tell you what, I promise I won't use that ever again if you teach me something. Naruto couldn't help but smile at his little brother figure's enthusiasm to learn from him. You know, perhaps I could teach him a thing or two. Iruka-sensei said he's been working pretty hard and perhaps he's ready to learn something more. Yeah, I suppose I could help you out, said Naruto. Although, where's Iruka-sensei? Shouldn't you be meeting with your team sometime later at a nearby training ground? So your team and Hanabi's team were on a joint mission to take care of some bandits, but the bandits had some missing ninja in their rank, said Naruto, summarizing Konohamaru's story as they made their way to training ground 7. So this misinformation resulted in Iruka-sensei getting injured while saving you. However, Udon and Hanabi's two teammates getting injured later in the fights as well. Yeah, Iruka-sensei was incredible taking out that one Chunin, giving me the perfect opportunity to take out the rest of the enemies and save everyone, boasted Konohamaru. You really should have seen it, boss, the way I stepped in and took down that enemy ninja before he could hurt Hanabi. Oh, he's so bluffing, almost as bad as you used to. I can smell it, said Kurama. Hey, I so did not have to lie to tell everyone how awesome I was, retorted Naruto. And how many times did Sasuke have to cover your back when you were genin? Replied Kurama. Those don't count, shouted Naruto as Kurama just rolled his eyes. Alright, Konohamaru. I remember promising you to help teach you that jutsu of Sandaime Jiji's if you could use the shadow clone jutsu well enough, said Naruto. Awesome. I won't disappoint you, boss. Ha, Naruto said as he heard the call of a hawk above them. Naruto motioned for it and the hawk landed on his outstretched arm. Taking the scroll from the message pouch, the blonde turned to Konohamaru. We'll have to do this some other time, Konohamaru. Tsunade Barkan wants us in her office. Stand still, Nichan, shouted Hanabi as she struck at Hinata. The two had been sparring in the courtyard as part of their father's morning training regimen for them. Even though Hinata was still reluctant to land a hit on her little sister, that didn't mean she had to let Hanabi hit her. Her inability to land a single hit on Hinata was causing the younger Hanabi to unleash some bottled-up frustration. As Hinata spun out of the way of one of her sister's strikes, Hanabi's palm collided with a wooden post that was behind where Hinata used to be. Hanabi's frustration had caused her to inadvertently unleash a burst of chakra, splintering the post. Amoto, is something wrong? Asked Hinata. While Hanabi would always face a spar with confidence and fierceness that was known throughout the main branch of the Hyugas, even Hanabi wouldn't use a strike like that in a spar. That strike could have seriously injured someone. It's all that Barker's fault, shouted a frustrated Hanabi. Hinata just sent Hanabi a questioning look, waiting for her sister to continue. It was because Konohamaru Barker had to just charge in there, without any plan, and trying to play the hero that everyone else got hurt. Hinata sighed while Neji just rolled his eyes as he was reminded of a certain blonde a few years ago. Before Hanabi could vent some more, a messenger hawk appeared above the Hyuga household, landing on Hinata's outstretched arm. Taking the note, the Hyuga beauty read it before turning to the rest of her family. I am sorry, Tusen, but it appears Hanabi and I are being summoned by Tsunade-sama, said Hinata. Both of us? Asked Hanabi. Probably a mission of some sort, said Neji. It is about time that they begin to mix up some teams a little to give Genin some experience with working with other shinobi and giving Chunin an easy opportunity to hone their leadership skills. Omake, deleted scene, and understanding. Hitaki Kakashi, avid Ika fan, was one of the many fans of the hit adult novel series in line for the premiere of the first ever Ika movie, being released right here in Konoha. Currently, Kakashi was standing outside the movie theater when he was approached by a man with dark brown and spiky hair with a goatee beard. Well, it seems you made it, Sasuke, said Kakashi as he looked up at the man. The one-eyed Jonin could instantly sense the transformation he had placed on himself to make him appear older, considering this movie was for the 18 and older crowd only. However, After being converted into almost as avid of an Ika fan as Kakashi himself, there was no way Sasuke was waiting another 2 years to see the movie. A simple transformation to make him appear as an adult would deter most civilians from questioning his age, while a quick hypnotizing genjutsu from his Sharingan would take care of most trained shinobi. Any other shinobi present, such as Kakashi, just honestly didn't care. A few short minutes later, they ran into Ebisu, who had put on a quick disguise as well. He had a reputation to keep and as such, had thrown a quick disguise together. The disguise itself was reasonable, unlike the one belonging to the next member joining them. Kakashi's eye widened as he tried his best to suppress a laugh as a man with an afro, resembling something that guy would do if he was going to a disco club, and a nose that was so horrendously huge that only an elephant's mother could be proud of it. Of course, the large glasses hiding the man's eyes didn't help him at all. Is that really the best you could do, Hiashi? Chuckled Kakashi. You couldn't have just used a simple transformation. This was all I could find. Some little brat ruined my old disguise with his last prank and I couldn't risk a transformation. What'll I do if someone undoes the transformation? I have a reputation to maintain, said Hiashi. I don't recall Naruto pulling any pranks lately, said Kakashi. It wasn't Naruto, groaned Hiashi. Apparently, Konohamaru's growing rivalry with Hanabi had prompted him to pulling a prank on the Hyuga clan, using Hiashi's old disguise as part of the prank. Kakashi just shrugged as they went into the movie. Part way into the movie, a scene appeared on the screen and to everyone, surprise, a familiar blonde appeared within that scene. It wasn't an adult scene, but to the raging Hiashi, it didn't really matter that much. Naruto and Hinata were currently eating the dinner at Naruto's favorite restaurant in the village, Ichiraku Ramen, when a cry rang out through the village that instantly sent the blonde into a panic. Uzumaki Naruto. Oh crap. He found out, sweated Naruto as he grabbed Hinata to try and find a place to hide from Hiashi, who was now right down the street, running at blinding speeds towards Naruto with a Yukan strike aimed for his manhood. Naruto-kun. What's going on? Asked Hinata. Naruto dodged Hiashi's strike. I swear Hiashi-san, I didn't mean to. You see, Ero Sennin needed someone to fill that role and he refused to train me unless I agreed to play the part. It wasn't anything bad, I swear. Still, you were on the Ika set. I saw you in the movie. I thought I made it clear to stay away from Sensei's less desirable traits, said Hiashi. Hinata's eyes immediately snapped open. Her father wasn't like that. He wouldn't go to such a movie, would he? Damn it, Hiashi immediately smacked himself as he just realized he had admitted to basically being a closet pervert and Ika fan in front of his own daughter. Fortunately for Naruto, he had also picked up on Hiashi's slip. You know Hiashi-san, now that I think about it, I seem to remember a few stories of your time under Ero Sennin's tutelage, said Naruto as he locked eyes with his sibling student. Normally, Hiashi would be able to win such a staring contest hands down, but if Naruto was talking about the stories he thought, this was one argument he didn't want getting out of hand, especially one with a hyperactive blonde. Surprisingly, Naruto wasn't backing down to the feared, Hyuga stare, and Hiashi knew that Naruto indeed knew of some of his exploits under Jiraiya's tutelage. So, wanting to make sure nothing got out, he gave in. It believed then we've come to an understanding, Naruto. Yes, I believe we have, replied Naruto. Well then, you two have a good night, said Hiashi as he quickly left. Naruto let out a sigh of relief. Oh Naruto-kun, Hinata said sweetly, too sweetly. Naruto gulped. Jutsu. Raisin Shuriken. Rank, SS. Secret Uzumaki Fuinjutsu. Regression Seal. Rank, SS. Fuinjutsu, seal copying technique. An Uzumaki sealing technique that copies an already applied seal as well as the entire sealing formula to a scroll, allowing someone to analyze the workings of the seal or reproduce it with ease. Rank, B. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.